Alright, so I don't know if anyone's here yet, but a little bit of I don't know what you want to call it, a little bit of a I've got a little bit of a situation here, a little bit of a it's not really a kerfuffle. It's a predicament. Uh, um, so hold on, let me tweet. Alright, got my tweet up. So here's the problem. Here's the predicament, uh, the issue. I've got this post on the Forcoder forums by I don't know how to pronounce this screen name, Iramch. I don't know. It's got a real name there, Justin A.L. Okay, I don't know how to pronounce that either. We'll just call him Justin. And Justin says he would like to have shift backspace not delete a word because he accidentally types it when he's trying to type capital letters and things, and he keeps the shift L down for backspace. And it raises the interesting question, which is that is there such a thing as a default setup that works for anybody? Like shift backspace to me makes perfect sense for deleting back one word, but I could see how if it's not part of the flow you're used to, you immediately go, that's not what I want it to do. That's deleting more than one character. And this kind of thing also exists on the file explorer thing. And I hate to tell someone, no, I can't make that change for you, but in this situation it seems like that's what I have to do because I really like the shift backspace. A lot of people, I'm assuming, use shift backspace who use Forcoder. I mean, although I guess I'm assuming that anyone uses Forcoder other than me. At least the default Forcoder bindings are probably just mine. But yeah, I don't know. I need some extra opinions. It seems to me like if I get rid of shift backspace, I'm giving up something that seems very natural to me, but I can see why it would seem unnatural to other people whose workflow doesn't include that already, or whose like typing flow or whatever you want to call it. So I'm never sure what to do about something like that. Curious if anyone has any thoughts. Alright, so Ginger Bill is agreeing with Justin that Shift Backspace shouldn't do anything special. Let me just try something here. Word. Oh, wait a minute. Shift Backspace doesn't do anything at all. Maybe I already have it set to Control Backspace, so hold on a minute. I must be misunderstanding something here. A very simple request. Can Shift Backspace be the same thing as Backspace? Oh, I see. It's just... Okay, so I misunderstood. Shift Backspace doesn't do anything, but he's just asking for me to bind Shift Backspace to backspacing one character. I see. Alright, awesome. I get to tell him that I'm fixing it for him, and there we go. Okay, so that's good. Let's see, I'm going to add myself a little note for the future. Well, I don't have that to-do list up right now. Where's, I guess I'll take some stream notes on this page here. Oof. Stream notes. Make Shift Backspace delete more predictable. There we go. Alright. Alright, so, in other news, what I want to do today is I want to remember where I left off here. So, if I run it, yeah, it's just generating several maps for me. If I remember correctly, the maps thing was looking pretty cool. That was using 2x2 windows. Now, I'm going to read through some of the code and see if I can remember what I want to do. I have a suspicion of what I wanted to do, but I'm not sure what the right order to do this in is, because I'm still hard coding in the samples, and I think maybe the right thing to do is to make the sample generation system where you put in the source image or the source pattern, and then it extracts the patterns, the actual samples from that, and it gets the occurrences from that and everything. Because then we can do bigger windows, which we aren't really able to do right now. Yeah. Coming down here to the bottom, actually. Run the wave collapse. Set up samples. So what I want to do is, yeah, I think I want to mess with making setting up samples something that has more options, so that I can say, alright, set up the samples by, here's a source, pulling out each sample from this set, and then condensing them into this system here. So, let's see. Yeah, okay. How should I organize this? This function here, what I really need is something that lists all the functions in the file, which I'm very close now. Probably in 2017 I'll start doing code intelligence for realsies. Although, that's a lie. I'll probably do GUIs first. And my new GUI plan, not the old GUI plan. There's always stuff to do before I get to the stuff that I wanted to do 2 years ago. Mikkel is asking how customizable the virtual whitespace system is, and the answer is, first of all, the virtual whitespace system does not have anything to do with wrapping, which is what you're asking about. Always putting something on the next line down is wrapping. Virtual whitespace is just the thing that gets rid of all of the leading whitespace characters right now. Later on, virtual whitespace might do more. It might get rid of, like, hide all of the whitespace characters, but the uh, the the thing there is when you right now the system never does a wrap unless it's out of space. And as far as how customizable it is, it's only customizable to the point where you can decide the wrapping width. But once I start to settle things down, I think I'm going to expose the wrapping system and the virtual whitespace system completely, but there's a few lingering questions I have to answer. So it's not very customizable right now, is the answer. Eventually, I'll go beyond virtual whitespace and wrapping, and I'll go to full code layout, like format, right? And then you could do things like, oh, I want the brace to always be on the next line, even if the code's written the other way, or I want the brace to always be pulled up onto the current line, even if it's written the other way. But that requires taking a few more leaps of faith that the system won't mess things up than I'm willing to take all at once. I'm going to get one little baby step in, and then another, and another, and we'll eventually get to fully customizable code layout. It's just not there yet. Now what I want to do is, these are the Wave 2D, yeah, so this appears all memory. Here's the hard-coded test case. That's good. Random numbers. Okay, so this is pretty organized. That's good. What I want to do now is I want to make a thing for... What's that to do? I think that's an optimization plan. I'll leave that for now. Right. So here what I want to do is make a sample extract from input image kind of thing. Alright, so tiling. Okay, so I'm feeling kind of like I should play music today. I haven't played music for a long time. I'm just in a musicy mood. So, what should I play? The problem is if I play my classical playlist, there's always a couple songs in there that raise issues on YouTube, and I don't like it when that happens. But I don't know if I have any other option. So, give me just a moment. Hey, hey, come over here. Let's see, I know there's one in particular that I have to make sure to skip. Remove that. Alright, alright. I think the rest of these are mostly not a problem. Let me know how the volume is. Alright. Um, Alright, this will work for today. And now what I want to do is work on setting these samples up. So, sample memory. Yeah, I want to be able to say pass the memory in from the caller instead of calling malloc here. I don't like to call malloc anywhere in my APIs. I'd rather the user always be in charge of calling malloc. And then if later on I want to make a convenience API that does the allocation, then I can do that easily. So, sample, get sample memory size. Now this will come from the width and height of the image. Get memory size for image samples or something like that, maybe. So then I pass in all of this. Well, Ginger Bill, it's not just about being in control of what the allocator is, but also when the allocation happens, where the memory comes from, where it's positioned in your memory block, stuff like that. I mean, being able to push an allocator like that sounds great for the issues when I just want to do small allocations deep in a stack, and it's a pain in the ass to pass out the concept of we need this much size, or I don't know how much size I'm gonna need. Those kinds of things it'll definitely be useful for, but I think it's still awesome when you have the ability to control the allocation moment as the user. In a lot of cases. Whenever you can do that, it's useful to have that. Okay, so the goal here is to count how many samples we're going to need. So max number of samples is basically going to be um, the width of the image minus the window width plus 1. And sample W x stride or sample x positions. Feels like it's already dark. Alright, cool. Okay, back at it. So there we go, and then I can get the max sample count. It's just going to be these two things multiplied. But I also need to know how big a sample is, and I can't remember how that works exactly. Add sample. So I say here's my sample struct, here's the data, here's the weight. Push a struct onto the sample partition. Wave2D sample. Alright, so each of those is just one Wave2D sample. But the problem is I actually want to store more than that in there now. Okay, so this is not actually the sample memory size. This is not the memory size. This is get a scratch memory size. Get scratch size for image sample. Okay. Okay, so then what I want to do is, for each sample, I'm going to want scratch memory times some, well, let's see, I need width times height times 4 for each block, and then I need, probably some overhead per sample as well, maybe? Well... maybe 1 byte more for each sample. Yeah, okay. So I want scratch size to equal max sample count times, and then the size I need for each sample is width times height times 4 plus 1. Turn the scratch size. Now, I call that, give it the size of my image, the size of my window, it tells me how much scratch memory it needs, and then I allocate that, I call to this scratch memory, and first I allocate what is it? The scratch memory. The first chunk is going to be the sample memory, which is going to be scratch memory. I'll do the cast in case I ever want to use this in C++ mode. And then I want to do sample is unique, or use sample, and that will be uint8t sample memory plus. I don't have the sample count again. I could compute it again, but why not just... sample position. Yeah. Okay. Oh, hey, for the, thanks for the, host. What's this? Drek Ryan, thank you. Alright. Alright, so then what I want to do is I want to take this, make this the return of that. You know, while I'm at it, why don't I just cut down on the busy work that I have to do to use this API and try one of these. Alright, params. So, width, height, window width. Window height. This has the nice advantage that I can also set one up for the wrapped version quite straightforwardly. So for wrapped version, you just take every possible position. And then you still multiply those together. You still do that the same way. Yeah. Alright, cool. Now, here we can take all of that out and replace it instead with Wave 2D image processing params. Max sample count. And then what we'll do is step 1, fill out all of the samples and set them all to being used. So, use sample, that should be use count. Yeah, okay, cool. So now, let's go, alright, and then what do we do? What do we do? Right. So in each of those cases, what I want to do is, what I should do actually is current sample equals sample memory uint8t current count equals use count, and then we basically want to do a copy of the sample block in the image into the block we're currently looking at in the memory, set the use count to 1, and then increment all of that. Don't need the I. Okay. Use count plus plus current, whoops, plus plus current count, plus plus current sample. Equals 1. And then we grab both of those, we'll call this the YY, window height, window width. Alright, YY, XX, XX, YY, XX. Okay. And with those, I want to be able to do source equals image plus x plus y times params dot width test line equals current sample. Then after each of those, I increment source line by params width. I increment dest line by params.window width. And then in here, I grab source equals source line, dest equals dest line, dest equals source, plus plus dest plus plus source. So what is this effect? I grab the line beginning in my destination and beginning in my source. Alright, source over here, destination over here. I start at the beginning of each of those and I read across. Right. Once I'm done reading across, I move the source line down by one whole width of the actual whole input. I move the dest line down by one whole line of that. Right. Okay. So that should do the copy just fine. But now what I want to do is, once I've done the copy, I want to roll back, and instead of just assuming that copy, well, what I should do is image, yeah, okay, current sample, got it. What I then want to do is see if that current sample is equal to any of the previous samples. And if so, I actually won't do the increment and on the pointers, and instead I do the increment on the count. Okay. So that is something like is repeat pattern. Okay, so yeah, we're going to do that, and then we're going to start with, whoops, I can't do plus plus on current sample. That should be current sample plus equals window width times params window height. Alright, so now I need to iterate across every you know, this is why I hate working in C sometimes, because I'm just sitting here thinking in my head, you know, next sample stride, I could easily multiply by 4 at the top, and then right here, it wouldn't have to, the compiler wouldn't have to bake and multiply by 4 in after each step of the loop. It could just use the like it could do the increment by the correct amount that's built into the variable, and then this could loop over bytes. It just okay. Anyway, I don't like the way pointer arithmetic works. At least not all the time. I wish it was more about giving me as many options as possible. Anyway, let's say a putter equals b putter. Alright, so I increase the count at that repeat index instead of incrementing my pointers and setting the count to 1. Ah, yes, the Hindo. Awesome. Okay. So that's getting us somewhere. So what I want to do is alright, so I'm just going to set up a quick test-based image here. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Alright, so there are 10 ones. 2, 3, 4, 5. 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay. I'm going to just throw in some zeros here. Alright, so there we go. We've got a test-based image. See if that, redefinition, huh? Well, we'll call this the image processing scratch memory. Alright, I want to see if that runs without, what's the word, failing miserably, maybe? Awesome. I know it says failed, 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 but that's because there was no samples. Okay? It didn't crash. So the failing miserably thing was kind of a misnomer. I meant crash. It did still fail miserably. Let's be honest. Now, that's fine, because next what I want to do is, once I've set the samples from the image, I have the ability to go, hey, dude, how do I get the count? I want to know how many samples there were. I need to know how many samples there were. And, I could return that. Why don't we just go ahead and make that a uint right now? Okay, so now what I can do is go, aha, here is my sample memory. I got it by mallocing sample count. I got it by mallocing sample count times the size of wave2d samples. Sample. I thought I had a sample struct. See, I don't have a sample struct? I do. Okay. And then I can do wave2d set this isn't really set samples from images. It's more like extract samples. Nah, I don't want to do it this way. Change my mind. Alright, what I'm going to do instead is now do all this stuff. So, boom, sample memory size, begin my samples, end my samples, loop over my samples, and in the meantime, well, it's going to be something like current sample, and then current count. And then going current sample plus equals params.sample stride. Ah, that's a good idea. I didn't do that, did I? Well, let's finish where I am. Current count plus current count, right? And then okay, so here I'm getting the sample count. I want to change that to wave2d processed image. No, I don't really want to do that. I don't think. Yeah, let's do it this way. So, get sample array from out of Scratch. Processed samples. Alright, now back up to params real quick. I'd like to include a little bit of next sample stride, and yeah, that's right here. Add a sample from the current sample, current count, increment that, keep going, and do that all the way until we've done one for each of the sample count. Alright, so I extract samples and I count them up. I pull out the current sample, I pull out the current count. Sample count, size of weight, sample memory. Got my sample memory, I begin filling out all the samples, and then we're done. Okay. Hello, Tassocan. Tassocan's asking, is this a game engine? No, I'm working on something called wave function collapsing, which is a procedural generation algorithm. Um, there's a cool GitHub where it's implemented in C Sharp. I'm re-implementing it in C, and I'm going to try to make a hyper-optimized version. I'm going to try to run it through SSE. I'm going to try to, you know, see if I can find any other cool ways to use it than what they found in that uh, experiment that they did on GitHub. And right now I am setting up the thing that slightly high level um, portion of the system. I already did the thing that does wave function collapsing. Today I'm making the thing that extracts pieces out of an image and turns them into the samples that are used for the collapse algorithm. Now Tassocan's telling me there's a little delay on the audio from the video, huh? Actually, OBS looks like it's weirdly... I can't really tell what's happening on OBS because it's all like... You guys aren't seeing me like glitching around, are you? I mean, if you guys have just been watching me glitch all day and not mention it, that's kind of awesome. But I doubt it, 'cause sometimes OBS just does this weirdness. Huh. Don't know. Okay. Alright, so that just went with all ones everywhere, which is not what it's supposed to do. It's supposed to have lines all over the place. And it failed a couple of times. It should be failing. It has ways of dealing with that, doesn't it? Okay. Let's take a look at what's going on here. Yeah, let's take a look at it by doing it in a step. Well, what time are we at? 1 hour in. I'm going to take a short break. I'll be right back, and then I'll go for one more hour today. See you guys in a minute. Alright, hello. I'm gonna stop and restart the stream, because if there was an issue, no one else has responded, so I suppose Tasselcan's the only one with me right now. Which is fine, but since I don't have a second opinion, I'm gonna have to assume that it's my problem, so I'm going to stop and restart the stream, in case there is an audio problem.